Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the third session of the summer for the UT at T Family Series webinar. My name is Ashton. I am the Parent and Family Programs Coordinator, the host of this session. So we just wanted to thank you for joining us tonight, or if you're watching this at a later time, thank you for watching this back. Just a reminder, these are Zoom webinars, so you can't turn on your camera or mic or anything like that, but you can use the Q&A button and the chat feature at the bottom to ask any questions or chat with any of the panelists. We're going to have a couple of offices tonight. So the first one is going to be presenting about the Harrington Patriot Center and our rec sports. And then we will talk with the Dean of Students. We'll talk about counseling and our health clinic. And then we'll wrap it up with the SAR office and testing services and kind of what they all have. So just to go ahead and kick it off, we'll go ahead and start with the Harrington Patriot Center. And as Rick gets his presentation pulled up, just a reminder that this will be posted on later tonight. So if anybody has any questions or anything and wants to watch it back, then we'll be more than happy to do that. So Rick, go ahead and you can take it away.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. So as you can see from the starting slide here at Rec Sports, we offer anything from classes to courts to canoes. We have lots of great experiences here that we know have multiple benefits for our students. We know that movement and exercise can be a powerful medicine for many common health problems. It can help relieve stress, help you sleep better at night, and also the social aspect of creating friendships, a sense of community here at the university, many different benefits that participating in recreation can offer to our students. However, those are the things that we promote and we know as skills they pick up. But they have also identified some skills. So on the slide you'll see here, this was actually a study done by the National Intramural Recreational Sports Association, and these are participant identified skills. So 50% of participants, have a sense of well-being, and you can see the list obviously, but I think the most interesting one that I found out of the survey is if you look down at the bottom, 90% of students report that recreation will be important to them after graduation. So we know that we have a lifelong impact, not only in their time here at UT Tyler, but beyond. So as we know these things are important, we want to obviously educate our students in how to get involved. So as Ashton mentioned, we are housed in the Harrington Patriot Center. We are the gym for all the students here on campus. We have obviously fitness areas, free weight area, we have an aerobics room. We also have an outdoor pool and spa. And then we also have a lobby area for studying or hanging out with your friends and playing ping pong or air hockey, whatever it may be. So we try to cater to as many different people as we can. And our building itself is open about 100 hours a week. So definitely some time to come in outside of class or outside of work. So one of the pillars of Rec Sports is obviously going to be fitness. And so we offer a multitude of fitness classes that are included in their membership within their recreation fee. So no extra cost to sign up for those fitness classes. One other thing I like to mention as well is if you are new to the gym or you need some guidance on how to use a machine or just kind of getting comfortable in the area, we offer a fitness education orientation that students can take at no cost. And so we'll show you around the gym. We'll try to make you as comfortable as possible, so that way you'll utilize the services. So I mentioned fitness classes. You'll see on this slide here, this is our upcoming fitness class schedule for the fall. So Monday through Thursday, it is a packed schedule. These are drop-in classes, no registration needed, and they're all taught by either fellow UT Tyler students or certified instructors that we bring in. So the class descriptions can obviously be found online on our website if you have further questions. And then lastly, under the fitness umbrella is our personal training. So I mentioned fitness education and orientation. If you're looking for something more advanced as far as having a certified personal trainer walk you through a workout or multiple workouts about target areas that you want to try to work on, we have that service as well. And you can do that as an individual, or you can bring up to 2 of your friends with you and have a buddy session. So it's a great opportunity to, again, learn more about the gym, become more comfortable in that area. I want to touch on a couple events under fitness coming up this fall. So our Probably our most popular event that we run every semester is goat yoga. And so we will have goat yoga September 28th. There are 2 classes. It's free. You just must register in advance to reserve your spot because it does fill quickly. And then we'll run 3 or 4 different monthly fitness challenges, but I put a couple up here on this slide. So these are just a fun way to get involved, learn about a new piece of equipment at the gym, excuse me, or compete against your friends and try to win a prize as well. So a couple of these on the screen, we do one each month. And like I said, it will highlight a different area of the gym or a different piece of machinery. The next pillar to talk about would be our outdoor adventure program. So we take several trips throughout the area each semester. It may be skydiving, backpacking, canoeing, anything of that sort. Some of them are day trips, and we also have overnight or weekend trips as well. All of our overnight or weekend trips are now being offered free of charge to students. Any of our large, like our annual ski trip, will have a cost associated with it, but the cost will be very, very reasonable for the amount that you'll get within that trip. And so, again, why come on an outdoor adventure trip? A lot of the same benefits as the fitness classes, right? We get that escape, that stress relief. We get to refresh. You can, experience the outdoors with your friends or make new friends and become part of that community as well. We also offer intramural and club sports here at UT Tyler. So on the screen, I've included the upcoming events for this fall. We have more, but those are just the first 5 or 6 there. As you can see, we offer not only traditional sports like flag football, but we'll offer air hockey and Pop-A-Shot Challenge and tennis, all kinds of different things every semester. This is a great way for students to not only be active and get that exercise or that competitiveness if that's what they're looking for, but also if you don't have a team, you can sign up as a free agent, and it's a great way to meet people who have similar interests to you. As you can see on the left side of the screen there, we do offer an intramural championship shirt in each of our sports. So if you do happen to win an event, you'll get a shirt to wear around campus as well. Okay, and then how to get involved with Rec Sports. So we do have our Rec Sports app, which you can find by searching UT Tyler Rec Sports on either the Google Play Store or Apple Play, or the Apple Store, excuse me. That will tell you all of our specific fitness class schedules, outdoor trip schedules. It'll even let you know when the gym is open or when our basketball court is open for open recreation. And we do have a cool feature on there for live occupancy, so that you can tell how busy the gym is at any time of the day. Also, if you want to request more information on fitness classes or personal training or any of those other things I mentioned tonight, there's a tab to do that as well. And you can provide feedback under the notifications tab. Lastly, I'll talk about financial wellness. So here at UT Tyler, we do employ a ton of students, especially at the rec center. All of our positions here are student positions. So whether it be intramural officials, lifeguards, or working the front desk, we hire UT Tyler students. We have a flexible schedule, and we will work around your class schedule and all that stuff. So it's a great way to get some professional experience, stay on campus, and have that flexible schedule that your class schedule requires. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If there's any questions regarding rec sports, feel free to put them in the Q&A box or in the chat box. There's none there right now, but if anything pops up, feel free to throw them in there and we can answer them later on this evening. Next up, I believe this presentation's all wrapped up together. So we'll hear from Dean of Students, Counseling and Health Clinic, and the SAR office, the Student Assistance and Advocacy and Student Accessibility and Resources, and we'll hear from them. So Kim, Mary, and Dawn, feel free to take it away.
All right, I think Mary's going to control the slides, but we can introduce ourselves. My name is Kim Livingston Cobb. I'm the Associate Dean of Students here at UT Tyler, and I'm supervise a lot of the different mental health and well-being services on our campus.
Hi, I'm Mary Logan, and I'm the Assistant Dean of Students, and I'm responsible for our care team and student assistance and advocacy.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Souza Hearn. I'm the Director of Student Accessibility and Resources.
Great. Okay, Kim, do you want to start us off?
Okay, am I able to advance the slides or?
I think I need to. Hang on one second.
All right. So tell you a little bit about our student counseling center. If you weren't already aware, we do have mental health counseling here on campus. It is free for your student. It is part of their student service fees. It is also confidential. We have licensed professionals on campus. We also have licensed professional counselor supervisors who supervise our graduate interns. We have interns from both our master's level clinical mental health counseling and clinical psychology, as well as PhD level psychology students. So one thing to know, even if you encourage your student to come to services, that is confidential. So we're not able to tell you whether or not your student showed up. So the best thing to do is follow up with your student about that. But we do have a certain number of same day appointments available. So one of the things that we're working on for the fall semester is that we have daily same day appointments. So your student can walk in, they can call, they should be able to get an appointment within about 24 hours. So for first appointments, and then basically a counselor will work with your student about the next options available to them. We do have psychiatric services as well. So we contract with UT Health, and we have a couple of psychiatric residents that come and serve our students. So, if your student currently is either part of counseling or, is on medications for a mental health concern, and maybe you're out of state and your student can't continue with those services, we do have those available. So just encourage them to come talk to us about it. Your student can also go online and request an appointment for counseling. Sometimes they can schedule a one-at-a-time appointment, so they can do that online. They can come into the counseling center, they can call. So there's lots of ways to schedule an appointment. We also have a lot of Wellness Wednesday events. So those are every Wednesday. We have something going on that's wellness related, and we collaborate with other offices related to that. One of the big events we have are at the end of the semester. We have what we call the De-Stress Fest. So encourage your student to take advantage of that. We have food and games and all kinds of things. Sometimes we have goat yoga. We work with our Patriot Center on that, and Therapets and all different kinds of things like that. Additionally, we also have a 24/7 crisis line. So if your student is concerned about themselves or someone else, they can call that crisis line. Those would be in more severe situations where there's a concern for mental health safety or a possible need for hospitalization. So that's what the crisis hotline is about. So that's information on the crisis hotline. Again, it's 24/7, all holidays, anytime, day or night, any day of the year. So, and that also is free. So the next thing that is really, really helpful that I am encouraging all of our UT Tyler students to do is to download this Timely Care app. So some of the really great things about Timely Care are all the different services that it provides. So let's see, can you go to the next slide, Mary? So some of the different services in this app, if your student downloads the app, they can click on the Talk Now button and they can talk to a professional anytime, day or night, And it doesn't have to be a crisis situation. So that's something that your student can actually take advantage of these services right now. If they already have their Patriot email, they have access to Timely Care. So they can download that onto their phone. They also have the option for scheduled counseling. So they can go in, they can, search all the different providers and find one that they think they would get along well with. Once they choose a provider, their schedule will pop up and they can schedule their own counseling appointment through that. So it's super easy to access. There's also health coaching. So maybe they have some health goals and they would like to work with a professional about health coaching. There is psychiatry also available through the Timely Care app. So we have a limited number of psychiatry appointments. However, we did not fill all those this last year. So there is plenty of space at this point. If your student would prefer psychiatry online, then they can just contact the counseling center. We can help them get the code to set them up with that as well. But that's all through that app. Basic needs support, just, if your student is not sure, where to get food today, or, a lot of other things, that basic needs support is there. But then even if your student never plans on talking to an individual, there's tons of self-care content. So everything from, yoga and fitness to self-care, mental health, things like stress management and things like that. So there's lots of things that are part of this app. So, if you can encourage your student to go ahead and sign up for that, they can take advantage of it before they even get to campus. Okay, so what can your student expect? They contact the Student Counseling Center. What we typically do is we start out with what we call a brief assessment. Your student will meet with one of our full-time counselors who will have that kind of on-call day. And they'll talk about what their needs are. They might do some problem solving. And then they'll work with the clinician to decide, what kind of services do they need in the future. Sometimes students just want one appointment to talk to someone and they don't really want ongoing counseling. Others want regular appointments. Our full-time staff typically sees students about every 2 weeks, but it depends on the severity of the situation. Our interns may see clients a little more often. So we just kind of look at different situations and the appropriateness of service for that. We also are planning groups and all different kinds of things like that. So what Counseling Center doesn't do, so if your student has a mental health concern that they feel like is impacting their academics, or maybe they got to the end of the semester and they feel like something mental health related is impacting their academics. If the student is already in counseling and we're working with them, we are very willing to work with them on the documentation that might be needed for a medical withdrawal. But if your student just comes in at the very end of the semester and they haven't seen a counselor, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get some kind of documentation about that. So encourage your students to come as early in the semester as they can if they're struggling with something. Our counseling center also doesn't do letters for emotional support animals. So if that is a concern of your student, they need to get that from a provider prior to coming to campus. We're also not able to do diagnosis for learning disabilities and ADHD and some of those kinds of things. We don't have the staff to do that. So that will need to be done ahead of time. And I know Dawn will talk to you more about that in a minute. We don't have the intensive outpatient treatment, but we do work very closely with others in our community if for some reason that is something that your student needs. Okay, so what can you do? So first of all, encourage your student to come in early. as soon as they feel like they're having some struggles, let us help them at the beginning before they get to the end of the semester and their mental health has really impacted their semester. It's helpful for us to know if it's a crisis. So, if you're sitting with your student or you're on the phone with your student and and you're trying to help them to get an appointment or something, maybe they're sitting with you, let us know if this is something that, they really need to be seen right away. Sometimes we have students that come in and basically say, yeah, mom told me to come to counseling. I don't know why. And, it's kind of hard for us to figure out, what's going on with your student. So, the more that you can kind of let us know about some of those things, the better. Again, because of confidentiality, we can't tell you if they follow up, but you can always follow up with your student. So, ask them, were you able to, get in contact? Were you able to have an appointment? How did that go? Do encourage them. Sometimes we have students that, every once in a while don't necessarily follow up with counseling, but they don't really want their parent to know that. So, they might say to their parent something like, "Oh, I couldn't get an appointment," or something like that. So we work really hard to get your student in pretty quickly. So if you're hearing something like that, encourage your student. They can contact me directly, and I can help facilitate an appointment if they're having trouble with that. Mary's going to talk about care reports in a minute, but you also have the ability to file a care report if you have a concern for your student. And, like I already said, encourage them to connect early, have them register with Timely Care so that, they're able to start that right away. The other good thing about Timely Care is it is totally integrated in with counseling. So our student counseling center gets all of the notes from Timely Care so that if your student starts out with Timely Care, but then they want to come over to counseling center in person, we are able to get that information and help with that continuity of care. So that's there as well. The other thing I want to tell you about is we do have our University Health Clinic on campus. It also is free for students, and your student does need to know to bring their student ID. It's basically there for acute care type of thing, minor emergencies, a lot of those kinds of things, some routine exams and things like that. They do have other things like, some x-rays or more extensive lab services or some of those kinds of things. There may be additional charge for those services. So, but they should always tell your student before they do anything that would have a charge related to that. And your student can use their health insurance to pay for those as well. So even without, even if they're paying out of pocket, then the cost for that is going to be lower than if they were to get that out in the community. So, we have negotiated a lot of those things. Students can walk into the University Health Clinic. I always encourage them to call ahead of time, make appointments ahead of time, just so they don't have to be sitting and waiting for long periods of time. But they should be able to be seen that same day, especially if it's something that's really needed that day. Other wellness services, we are opening our new wellness center in the fall. So as soon as that construction is done, we're going to have a great wellness center. We have massage chairs, we have stress management activities, all different kinds of things like that. We have some students in recovery programming. So if your student is in recovery from some kind of addiction, we're happy to come alongside them and encourage and support them through that. Another wellness service that we have on campus is our Center for Student Financial Wellness. And we have a great student financial wellness counselor who's certified and works really well one-on-one with students. So it's always great. It's not financial aid, but it's always great for your student to sit down and figure out what should my budget be and things like that. So, there have been times where students get, their financial aid refunds and they think, okay, now's the time to throw a big, pizza party and spend all my money and then it's gone for the semester. So, sitting down with financial wellness and really figuring out expenses for the rest of that semester or year can be really helpful for your student. All right, I'm going to turn this over to Mary now.
Thanks, Kim. So the Student Assistance and Advocacy Center is basically what we tell students to go to when they don't even know what questions to ask. So it's we deal with the small things and the big things. So anytime a student is saying to you, "Hey, mom, dad, auntie, grandma, grandpa, how do I, when do I, what do I?" Feel free to refer them back to the Student Assistance and Advocacy Center, and we will help them identify the resources that are here uh, that will more than likely answer their questions. It's just a good place to start. If we'll connect them to what's here on campus for them. And sometimes it's helping students learn to advocate for themselves. For example, if they're having a conflict with a faculty member and they're feeling like they're not being heard, we can kind of role play with them on here's how you might want to word your email, or here's how you want to start the conversation if you've scheduled a one-on-one meeting with them. The other thing we do is we actually go to meetings with faculty because there is some sort, there's a little bit of a power dynamic there. So we assist students in making sure that they are heard. So that's the Student Assistance and Advocacy Center. The other thing I'm responsible for is our care team. Our care team is where anyone within our community, and that includes y'all, you've known these people a very long time, probably 18 years or so. And so if you are concerned that seems off with your student, you can submit a care report. And what that is, it's an online form. It's pretty simple. It's very self-explanatory, but it gives us basic information about what's going on with your student. And then a team of professional staff meet each week and we figure out who is the best person to provide this student with resources. A lot of times it's a email outreach, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. But it's pretty light, I would say. It's the subject line is almost always, "Can I help?" And so the care team is going to assess where we can intervene and what interventions we should use to help your student who is dealing with some sort of difficulty. Um, Let me go to the next one. So here are some examples of when you might submit a care report. Um, if there's, and this happens every semester, we have students who lose a family member, like a grandparent, and they have to sometimes go pretty far away for a funeral, or they're just going to be home with their family to attend services. And so we ask that they let us know so we can provide their faculty with official notification of absence. And so that can be done using the care report. We get a lot of these from faculty members. We'll get them from academic advisors. And so this lets us reach out to your student, let them know about the counseling center, timely care, just in case that they were not aware of these things. So that's a kind of common scenario that we also deal with. If there's any kind of traumatic event that occurs, we would want to jump in and see what we can do to support the student. Or if your student says, hey, I need help in this, you always know that you can either submit a care report or just refer them to our office. And here's what I would recommend. Here's what you would say is, and you can put it in your own words and but just let them know, wow, seems like you're dealing with a lot, or seems like this is a big problem. I remember hearing at orientation that there's people who can help. Realize that for every one of you, that we have a bunch of staff who are doing everything that you probably have been taking care of for the last 18 years. So keep in mind that we have a lot of staff and we have a lot of campus resources that we would like to connect your student with. I put down here that we'd prefer that you not ask the question. If you think that there is reason to be concerned about your student, please just tell them that you're going to submit a care report. It's really important that you tell them so that it doesn't come off as weird when they get an email from Assistant Dean Mary Logan saying, please accept my condolences on the loss of your grandmother. How would I know that information, right? So please make sure that you let them know that you're going to submit a care report. Here's what happens. So this is a very typical email. It just tells them, oh, I've received this referral. Sounds like you're dealing with some difficulties. I'm here to help. That's what it basically says. And then a lot of times we'll meet with students that day or the next day, or it's around the student's schedule. So we try to reach out within 24 hours, unless it's on the weekend. This is not for emergencies. But this is, we will deal with it on the next business day. And then we'll talk with them about what their needs are, what resources we have, and how we can best deploy them. And so we'll meet with the student as many times as they would like to meet. There's some students who meet with us on a regular basis and have for over a year because it helps them. It's something that's part of their action plan that they are trying to be accountable to themselves. So they need some support in that. So we're happy to do that. So that's the follow-up as needed. I want to keep in mind that, that encourage students, if they are meeting with us, to keep that appointment, or if they have to reschedule. A lot of times students are afraid and they just don't say anything, but please know that we're happy to reschedule. We really are. And also the other thing I want to throw out there is that if you want to call me and say, hey, I don't know if I should do a care report or not, feel free to call me. Faculty do this, staff do this, and it's okay. I'm happy to talk with you. What else? Let me get sorry. That one. This is the contact information for myself and for Kim Livingston Cobb. We're very accessible. Can easily reach us through email. We both are very quick to respond, usually within a business day or 2 or 3, depending on what time of year it is. Sometimes of the year, midterms, finals, things get a little more difficult in terms of our scheduling. And next up, we have our Director of Student Accessibility and Resources, Dawn. Take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dawn Souza Hearn. I am the Director of Student Accessibility and Resources. It's affectionately called SAR on the UT Tyler campus. Mary, if we could progress to the next slide. So about 6 months ago, we moved from the University Center. We're now located on the 4th floor of the library, which really creates a space that I think is more conducive to providing accommodations in their purest form for our students. We have a testing center. We also have an advising side of our office. Our office is responsible for providing accommodations to students that have medical conditions that rise to the level of a disability. Typically speaking, disability is defined as a medical condition that rises to the level where it impacts an activity of daily living. And so for students at a university setting, those activities of daily living include concentrating, learning, seeing, hearing, just our basic everyday activities that each of us take for granted in many respects, but that some of our students on campus have difficulties with. We have about 700 students registered with our office, most of whom have what we call non-visible or hidden disabilities. We do have some students with visible disabilities, but most of them have the non-visible. Any documentation that is submitted to our office is kept confidential. It is not shared with any other department on campus. And I think that's an especially helpful thing to make your student aware that that documentation that comes in is protected, and their instructors will not have access to that documentation. An accommodation is a tool that is used to level the playing field to give students with disabilities equal opportunity to be as successful as students without disabilities. And each accommodation plan that is put together for students is customized to that student's needs and is based upon the functional limitations that that student has as it relates to their disability. We can provide accommodations in academic setting, testing accommodations, dining accommodations, as well as housing accommodations. Common housing accommodation request that we get is for emotional support animals. There is a documentation process to have that request considered, and you must be approved by our office for an emotional support animal before that emotional support animal is moved into on-campus housing. Also, please keep in mind that any accommodations that our office approves for your student will only apply to UT Tyler. So we would not approve an emotional support animal for an off-campus community apartment complex, only for those housing communities that UT Tyler manages. That's where the ESA approval would carry some weight. While we are here to support students, we also want to encourage students to self-advocate and also to just be more independent. We are here to help them. Our staff is here to help them troubleshoot. And Mary talked a little bit about the power dynamic, and Kim also talked about encouraging that independence and autonomy. Our office is also going to encourage those same sorts of things. So for parents, if you know that your son or daughter is registered with our office, our staff will be unable to speak to you, even to agree or state that your student is registered or has been in contact with our office, unless your student signs a consent to release, allowing us to have that conversation with you. Alternatively, if you happen to attend a meeting with your son or daughter and they agree to have you in attendance, then that's permitted as well. We do have some categories of disability that I wanted to go over. We have physical disabilities, and those physical disabilities are going to include any visual or hearing impairments. We have psychological disabilities. That's also going to include ADHD, anxiety, and other psychiatric conditions. We have learning disabilities that can be reading, writing, or math. And we also have a temporary category. So for students that do not present with permanent chronic conditions, but may sustain a temporary condition, like they have a surgery and it is impacting their academics, we can put some temporary accommodations in place for your student while they are recovering. An example of that would be if they broke their dominant arm, that would certainly create some difficulty for them taking notes or even taking exams. And so in those particular instances for temporary accommodations, temporary conditions, we would put accommodations in place that would expire at the end of the recovery period. So we want to make the student whole without impacting their academics as much as possible. Next slide, please. Process for registration is very simple. You will simply go to our website and your student will click on Apply for Services here. This is an electronic form that your student will complete. And it allows us to have a space to store documentation that your student would submit verifying their disability. Next slide, Mary. On the website, you'll see Apply for Services here. Again, your student will complete an application. We have also just recently created some documentation forms. The documentation form that is on there is for all physical, psychological, and temporary conditions. For learning disabilities, we have a separate form that has guidelines on there in terms of what tests, and these are commonly used, unabridged tests that are necessary, and it's only one from each category that must be completed, but we need standard scores to be included in the report so that we can see the level of severity of each of the learning disabilities so that we know how to appropriately accommodate a student. So they'll go to our website, fill out the application. There'll be an area to upload the documentation. Again, the documentation form is on our website. Simply print that up, take that to the treating provider, have them answer the questions and upload that documentation. Once that is uploaded, our staff will have a look at that documentation. And if we have enough information, the student is going to receive an email from our office that they schedule an intake appointment. These appointments can be done in person or they can be done virtually, whatever the preference of the student is. During that appointment, we will have a clinical interview and determine appropriate accommodations. There'll be a lot of questions, groundbreaking or icebreaker that we'll do with students to help them feel comfortable. But essentially, we really want to understand what the impact the disability is having on a student's educational experience. Once a student is registered, we're pretty good at determining appropriate accommodations. But if the student continues to have some difficulty and wants to have a conversation about amending accommodations, they simply need to contact our office and make another appointment. And let's have a conversation about what those difficulties are and see whether or not that amendment is appropriate. Let's see. So the interactive process between our staff and the student is critical to creating or establishing that accommodation plan. Again, the accommodations are determined based upon the severity of disabilities, also is contingent on the number of disabilities that a student is presenting. And the accommodation is intended to level the playing field, but in no way does an accommodation guarantee success. There are tutoring services available on campus that are offered to all students on campus, and we typically find that those services are helpful for students that may be struggling. Also, lastly, accommodations cannot fundamentally alter essential program requirements, and we would discuss that with the students. So sometimes students will present with accommodations that they may have had in high school that would fundamentally alter essential requirements of programs here at UT Tyler. We will have that conversation with your student. We will go over things very carefully with them so that they understand. And we hope that they will reach out to our office as soon as possible if they do have a documented condition so that we can establish an accommodation plan and have those in place for them when school starts. If they get diagnosed with something after school starts, we do register students all semester long so they can turn that documentation in and we will follow the process that I just reviewed with you. Next slide, please. This is our contact information. Again, my name is Dawn. If we can be of, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, or if you have any questions that you would like to put in the chat, we'll be happy to answer those today. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much to all three of you. Covered all the things. I don't see any chats right now or questions in the chat or in the Q&A box, so we'll just go ahead and wrap this up. And then if there's any questions that might come up later on, or if you're watching this recording later, all of their contact information was listed in the slide, so feel free to reach out to them. You can also reach out to parents@uttyler.edu. Any questions that you would have. If I don't know the answer, I will forward it on to people who can get you the answer. So we'll make sure that you will always be informed of anything that you might need to know. So that's going to wrap us up. Thank you so much for taking your time tonight to chat with us and to meet with all of our panelists. So yeah, and don't forget, if you need to watch us back at any time, it is posted on our website. So thank you guys and have a great night.